What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Martial Arts Studying YouTube channel. In this video, I want to go over how you should price your martial arts classes and basically how I would structure not just the pricing but also the schedule. I know it's not like a topic of like run these ads and your school will be successful or whatever, but it's still a super important thing, and I've absorbed those things with quite a lot of schools at this point. So I just want to give like my juice onto it. Don't, I guess, trust me too much because I've never run a school myself, right? I just help them, I guess, get more students, but yeah, without further ado, let me know. Like, I'll let you know what I think is the right way to go about this. So, let's actually real quick start with the schedule. So, this obviously highly depends if you're still by yourself, how big your school is, how many coaches you have, and stuff like that, right? But the first thing we need to talk about there is obviously the age groups. Now, most martial arts groups will probably have two kids age groups and then one teens and adults class. I agree with that one. The only thing I would probably do is I would start from the ages three, like I would do one age group probably 3 to 6. Then I would have another one called 7 to like let's say 12, and then I would have obviously another one for like 13 plus, and I would make it like pretty simple. I would just keep it like this. I know like especially the 3 to 6 year old age group, like three olds and stuff like that, right? That can be a little bit of a headache, but I'm not gonna lie, like it's probably where the most money is. And whenever like it's so kind of like easy to advertise towards this age group on Facebook, right? Like if you put up an ad and it just says classes for kids 3 year olds and older, bro, it's like always gonna perform, right? So that's how I would structure it. And if you're like, but I hate signing up 3 year olds, bro, like just like find a way to do it because it's there. That's where the money is, right? And if you can get a 3 year old to join, dude, maybe they stay on their entire childhood if they have good friends or whatever. Maybe not. Maybe they'll leave after a couple of years, right? If you're like in karate school and then they're like a black belt, not a black belt, but they've like you've taught them everything, I guess. I've heard that happens sometimes with karate schools. Anyways, let's continue with the actual schedule. And I'm not gonna lie, I would keep this super simple as well. So I would just make it like, um, let's say 5 p.m., 3 to 6. Then I would make it like 6 p.m., so 7 to 12. And then let's just do 7 p.m., I guess. 7 p.m., 13 plus. And the reason why I would do it that way actually is like it always obviously depends on how many martial arts you have, right? How many coaches you have and all of that stuff, right? But let's say you just teach one martial art, you just teach jujitsu, for example, right? And that's it. And let's say you have like one coach who helps you or like two, but they're not like full time yet, and you kind of get the point. So the reason why I would do it that way is I would just make this class right here probably like 30 minutes long, maybe 45, but something along those lines. I would make this class also 45 minutes long, and with this class, well, it could almost be like open-ended, like an hour or whatsoever. But if there's no class afterwards, that's fine. The reason for that is because you want to sell people after that class. Like you want to get obviously like new people in those classes, and you want to try to sell them after the class. And the thing is, if you do let's say this class until like 5:45 p.m. and then you start this class at 5:45 p.m., well, unless you have someone who does the sales for you, this probably won't work. I mean, if that's a possibility for you, I would genuinely make this class like 30 minutes long, and then at 5:30 already start this class right here, right? If not a possibility, I would just make like a 15-minute break there just so you have enough time to sign all people up. um, and yeah, you kind of get the point. But again, this hugely comes down to how many coaches you have. I would just try to keep it as simple as possible. And I would also make it like probably just Monday through Friday. Um, and then I would probably do the kids classes only like 3 times. Well, it depends. Look, it really depends on how big it is. If your school's like super big, just do all of these classes 5 days a week, right? And we're gonna get into how you price that in just a second. If you're not that big yet, I would just do all of like if you're just starting out, you're like sub 50 students, whatever, right? But you really want to grow. I would just do these classes here like 3 times per week, so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then just the first class I would probably add to like 5 times a week is this one because usually teens and adults are like more likely to train 5 times a week, I guess, than like 3 year old kids. Um, and that's how I would probably handle that. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe 3 year old kids also want to train that often. I don't know. But you kind of get the point, right? And you could also think about a weekend class. I think this is like super under leveraged, but like just having like a class on a Saturday or on a Sunday, right? Like just once, it's like people always ask for that, and it's like a super simple like thing for like, for example, parents who always work at 5 p.m. because not every parent is going to be able to bring their kid into a martial arts class at like 5 p.m. under the week, right? So maybe, I don't know, do like a Saturday class, Saturday, and then I don't know, just have like all classes, um, and then starts at 9. And then you could also almost do it like an open mat. I think that's the thing that people do on the Saturday, and then just like do the kids class at 9 a.m. here. Then at like 10 a.m. start this class, and then at like 11 a.m. you start the open mat until like 12 or something like that, 12:30. And then that's probably like, I would just keep it that simple. And then don't change the class times too often around. If you have multiple martial arts, it depends on if you can split your gym or not. So there are a lot of variables which we're not going to get into at this point, right? But that's how I would handle this, I guess. Now, let's go into pricing actually, because pricing is kind of like an interesting one. Because ideally, you obviously just do pay in full. It's like as soon as someone comes for a free class, you just sell them on a pay in full, right? And they basically stay on, like they're gonna stay on for a year. I had one client who told me that they're gonna offer something like Klarna now, which basically, so if someone can't, like, wants to stay on board for 12 months, but they can't afford it. I don't know if you've ever heard about Klarna, but it's like this. No, it's this one right here. It's like it basically like gives people the opportunity to like take credits or whatsoever, right? So you can like finance stuff. You don't have to pay it in full. I think it's probably bullshit, but you, who gives a fuck when someone signs up at your gym? And then basically like what this basically does is you already get the money for the entire year from them, and they still need to only pay monthly, but you could still give them like the discount for the entire year. So let's say, like, let's keep this simple, right? Let's say someone pays $100 at your gym, right? That's obviously $1,200. Now let's say if someone instantly signs up for the entire year, it's only $1,000, right? Well, if someone does that, then I guess you could, with Klarna, have the opportunity to still give them that discount. So basically, they pay, you get the $1,000 from Klarna, and then they pay Klarna monthly, so to speak. I'm not gonna like advertise for this too huge. I'm not too big of a fan of it, but I've just seen this as an option. Never tried this, never suggested this to anyone. So take this with a pinch of salt, I guess. But like you kind of get the point. It's something which is out there, I guess, right? Now that is that. Then but it again gives you the opportunity to get like the money for the entire year already, and they still get the 1 year discount, so to speak, right? So, and you can do this with 6 months, 3 months, by the way, as well. Ideally, they just pay it directly, but I also think if they can't pay any more, like Klarna deals with it, and you don't have to deal with it, so that's also, I guess, an advantage to you. But, anyways, there's that. Now no, look, the other thing is like it's gonna be pretty hard. So to sell someone after a free class, like especially to sell someone like a $1,000 pay in full. I actually take that back. It's not going to be hard to sell someone after a free class. It's going to be hard to sell them a pay in full. And I wouldn't even say hard because it just comes down to your sales skills. But it's not going to happen that often if you're like average at sales, right? Like you're good, but you're not that good. First of all, I would be aiming for like an at least 30% closing rate after people come in for a free class. I would probably say that should probably be more like 50%. If you're at like 60, 70%, you're good. You can basically worry about different problems as long as that stays that way, right? So yeah, you kind of get that point. So like a 30% closing rate is okay, but that's like I would almost say that's the minimum. Then I would say like 50%, that's good. And then we have obviously like 60 or like let's say 50% plus, that's like really good. So you kind of like get the point there. Now now that we've covered the closing part of things, you probably wonder like, okay, how would you structure like month to month membership? I am not gonna lie. I would I would always look. Let me start at the beginning. I would always just get people in for a free class because it's like an easy offer. It's like free. Sure, you'll get some price shoppers here and there, but if you do the like qualifying things properly before they come for the class, like everyone should be aware that it's a free class, but they should kind of have an idea of what the membership price is afterwards and stuff like that, right? Like if you do it right, you shouldn't have that many low quality people coming in. Now, and on the other hand, lead quality doesn't really exist. Like if you can get someone in your gym, bro, if you just teach them exceptional classes, they're gonna sign up. Like if you're good at sales, like you're gonna get them to sign up. Now, the other thing is though, I would probably try to sell them after the free class or something like a 3-month package or whatsoever. Like 3 month, get started with your child, first grading included, whatsoever. For this hugely comes down because I see a lot of UK schools, for example, only charge like $50 a month, while some US schools charge like $200 per month. So this really depends. Obviously, the more you charge, the better. But I guess like the harder it kind of is to sell if you're bad at sales. So just charge what you're comfortable with per month. Now, if let's say someone doesn't want to go with that approach, whatever you offer them, you just don't sell them, and then like you shouldn't never have someone leave your school if they came for a free trial without them signing up for like 3 classes for like $25 or stuff like that. Or let me get like $10, but whatever. Like you kind of get the point. Always get someone to sign up for like a 3 class pass, right? Because that way they have put their card down. They're more incentive to like sign up afterwards. And it's like an easy sell, right? If you just try to sell them like something for $200 per month, and then at the end of the day you pay like $25, it's like, well, most people are gonna do that, I guess, if you're like decent at sales. Again, as you can see, most of this stuff comes down to sales, but this is like just like the kind of like background information you need on like pricing when someone comes out for a class, how you deal with that. Now let's get into like the actual pricing structure. So I think what I see a lot of schools doing is something like let's say it's 97 down today equals let's say $150 per month, right? And let's say all of these options right here would be for like let's say 2 classes per week. But let's say someone pays down. This is completely wrong, right? I haven't done any math here whatsoever, right? But let's say someone pays like I don't know, $200 down today. Then it's only gonna be like $120 per month, and then let's say someone pays down like I don't know, $450. Then it's only gonna be like I don't know, let's say like $97 per month, whatsoever, for 2 classes per week. Now we need to think about if this is something we then do for like if this is something we do for like 12 months, or only for 3 months, for 6 months, right? Because obviously at some point there's a diminishing return. But I don't know, I think you could almost do it that way forever. Like you would just have to structure it properly. Let me actually think. No, I think we would probably do that. Let's say at like a 6 months. So at least they need to say like this option is like valid for like 6 months, and then they need to do the down payment again. That's one option. You can obviously do this with 3 classes per week as well, and you can just do this with ChatGPT, right? But that's one option how you can do it, because it kind of gives people the option who can't pay a lot down, but they just want to go for a high monthly fee. Cool, they can do that. If they want to pay a lot down and go for a low monthly fee, they can do that as well. And I think if you do the math here properly, it will also kind of like even out. But again, I haven't done the math here, right? If the more I think about it, if you do the math there correctly, it should even out to basically where you like, if they pay $500 up front and then they pay $30 or like $40 less per month, well, you would still have like what's that? Let's say 500 divided by 40. That's obviously 12.5. So there would only be a diminishing return after they've stayed for like a year. And then it's like, well, how long? Like, how many people do actually stay for a year? And then it's like, well, the diminishing return is so small that it doesn't even matter. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying, but I hope you get the point, Cool, because that would be really cool. But yeah, that's kind of how I see that. Now, if you're just starting out, I would probably just do like one option, like I don't know, let's say like $125 per month for unlimited classes. I would just do something like that. I'm not even gonna lie. And then I would just switch it back to this one. But I would only do this for like the first 50 members, and then I would go for pricing structure like this. You know what? I would probably even start with this pricing structure. This is just like if you're like really want to keep it like super simple, but you're then gonna have the problem if you start having classes like 5 days a week, like, they'll just always be full because you give them unlimited classes, right? So I would probably I would probably just go with this pricing structure all the time. The more I think about, like, not even for the first students, I would just make this like I would just go with this pricing structure right here, and then have like three options. So one is, for example, for 2 classes per week, one is for 3 classes per week, and one is for unlimited classes per week, right? Obviously, the more the higher the price is. And then I would just make it in a way where you make sure you don't have a diminishing return. So if they stay, like, regardless of what option they choose, they you don't lose money at least after like until after like 12, 24 months, stuff like that. If you do the math that over ChatGPT, that's simple. If someone wants to do like 1 class per week, I don't know, kind of make that an option as well, but like don't advertise for it, right? And then I would just probably have this pricing structure, and I would just increase the price gradually over time. So I would just like sign up 20 members with this price, then the next, like, just make it higher and higher until your closing rate goes down. If your closing rate goes down, then you've kind of found the sweet spot. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I'd go about pricing. That's how I'd go about scheduling like my martial arts class, I guess. Again, takes with a pinch of salt. Never ran school myself, but I still successfully gotten other martial arts schools, like tens of thousands of students already. So yeah, if you need help growing your school and you own a martial arts school in the UK and the US or in Canada, anywhere there, then yeah, click the link in the description, have a chat with me, and we'll see if we can help you or not. If not, all good, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.